Wow, this is going to be fun. Let me just explain what this is. This is a TTT showcase, 3T. You might think 3Ts are the makers of handlebars and stems. You might think 3T is a pop group that are related to Michael Jackson. But here it's Team Time Trial and it's on RGT. And RGT, of course, is one of our favourite racing platforms. They do time trials too. But this TTT showcase is rather interesting because the teams actually do these time trials in their own time when they choose, and then at the end of the week all the results are put together to see what happens. Now these are real recordings from races on the MRETT series run by Mike Lister. We've got 5 teams on here. There are more teams in the series, but we've taken 5 for this showcase. And what we've done, although they would have recorded them all separately in their own time, we've put 5 together, showing them simultaneously. Now this is exciting because you don't even get this in the real world, do you? I mean, they can't, they can't show you the time split simultaneously when you're watching Eurosport, the Tour de France, Euro d'Italia, or anything else you might be watching. So this is absolutely brilliant. And of course, the thing is, because the results for each team go in and get announced at the end of the week, putting this together is fantastic. Now this course is called Peer-to-Peer because it goes from Worthing Pier, you can see it going along the coast here, through Shoreham, and it goes inland, and I'm guessing that's where the rise in elevation will be, and then it drops down just by Brighton Station. As you'll see in a minute, we're going through Hove at the moment, which is next to Brighton, so there we are by Brighton Station and down to Brighton Pier. So it's Worthing Pier to Brighton Pier. It's 20.14 kilometres. It's a team time trial, and the first 3 count. Okay, so the first 3 riders across the line count. Now the teams, I think, have up to about 6 riders. I might be wrong, but anyway, it's only the first 3 that count. And of course, what happens in the real world is that sometimes a team can only put 4 riders out, and you have to work a little bit harder. And I can tell you, because I've ridden a few of these on the MRETT series, not only in this series, but in previous series. And sometimes you have a smaller team than you'd like, and it's obviously a lot easier with 6. So here we have 6 riders on the front. This is Lou Rix's team, Team Lou Race, and we've got Mr. Canoe. Oh, sorry, we're showing you all the teams. Sorry. This is OTR. This is James Ogilvy's team. There are 3 OTR teams in this broadcast. Green, blue, and black. That's the green team. I see Peter Austin in there. Now look, they've only got 4 riders because the 4th one in there is the actual camera. So they will have to work a little bit harder. Good luck, Peter. And yes, I did get your email. Who are Team 3R. And again, they've got, what, 1, 2, 3. They've got 6 riders. So they're in a strong position here, the 3Rs with 6 riders. And it is a lot easier, and I'll talk you through that. OTR Black, they've got 5 riders. James Ogilvy, the king of OTR, of course, featuring in there. And you can see their recognisable jerseys and strip, black, white and green. So there we are, the 5 teams. We've got OTR, black, blue, green, Lou Rix's team and the 3R team. So this is going to be cracking. They're all on the start line. So we put these, they didn't race at the same time, but we put them together for you, especially so that you can see them simultaneously. That's a 10-second beep. So they're going to go any minute now. All right, that's a 5-second beep. Counting down and go. Now, you can see I'm looking at Team Lou's team at the moment, and you can see they're a little bit disjointed. They've gone off at different paces, whereas if you look at Team 3R in the bottom there, they are more together and they're going to get a better draft. So Lou Rix's team need to pull themselves together, and you can see that they're beginning to pull into shape there and getting together. There's one off the front by the looks of things, but they need to get together. Now, you will know as a cycling fan that time trialing is all about the draft. So let's have a look at OTR Black here. Now, they've got all of their riders in a little bit of a bunch. I have to tell you, from my own personal experience, and better riders than me may have a differing view on this, but you can see it's not that straight line that you would actually see in a real race, you know, a real team time trial. And that's because it's very hard to maintain. you're not sitting there looking at somebody's wheels, and if somebody does sort of do a little spurt, you can see the back rider there just coming round a little bit because they felt themselves dropping, did a spurt and overshot it. Now, my experience of this is actually if you keep a loose bunch that is a rough line, it will serve you well. Here we are over to OTR green. That is a cracking line. Now that is really impressive. Oh, it's broken up into a little bit, but it is hard to keep that line in this, and I say as long as you can keep grouped together, then you're fine. Now, here's the question that a lot of you will be asking. How do you know what you're all doing? As we look at Lurix's team, now they've got themselves into a nice little line here. This is good. This is very impressive, and you can see the. I mean, that is as good a line as I think I've ever seen. That's brilliant. That's fantastic. Now, how do they know how to do this, and how do they know how to switch the rider on the front? As we look at 3R, they're collective, which is good, but there's somebody gone off the front. They need to get that bunch together again to get the draft effect. So how do they know? I mean, how do they tell the guy at the front he's maybe going too fast, or the guy at the back that he needs to pull up? And how do you maintain this line? Well, in my experience, most of us use Discord. So if you're on Discord, you all tune in, create a little channel, and you talk to each other. And you can probably use a WhatsApp group or something else like that too. But you create a little group for your team, and you talk to each other on Discord. So all 5 or 6 riders will have Discord on, and they'll be talking. And somebody on the front will say, "Look, I've just done 2 minutes. It's too long. Can somebody else take over?" And somebody who's feeling a bit better will shout and go off the front. Now the problem is, and you just see OTR blue there, the rider who went on the front shot off too fast. And this is one of the hardest things to manage, is that as you go round everybody, you're putting in more effort to get to the front, and sometimes you overshoot the front, and everybody's got to work hard to catch you up. So communication is this is fantastic. Look at 3R, look at that bunch, but somebody's just pushing a little harder on the front. But look, the second rider's following, and that's worked. That is superb. Well done, 3R. That was impressive. Look at that. Still got the bunch on the front and round. This is exemplary. Look, the back rider going round to the back edge. This is off and on. Well, that is as good as I've seen as well. So we are privileged to have some of the best teams to show you how to do this. Now remember, this is a 20.14 kilometre time trial. We're 2.5 kilometres in it. We'll get time splits at 5 kilometres, so look out for those. We can see how each team is doing. And as I say, we've got all 5 teams shown together. And I have to say, the teams are looking exemplary. You can just see Team Lou dropping one rider off the back. Now, this may or may not be tactical. Certainly when I've ridden these, we've done things where we'll say that somebody's going to burn themselves for half the race and then drop out. And quite often, the decision is made around how hilly it is. And if you've got somebody that doesn't do too well up the hills, but a flat start, you let them do a lot of work on the front and the flat start. So OTR green now, one rider off the back, Sanderson. I see Mike Addy's in that team. Hi, Mike. So one rider off the back, and this might be the rider burnt out. And the decision comes now for the team. What do? Do you leave that rider, or do you slow up and wait for that rider? Will that rider slow you down, or will it be better? Because remember, you've got a better draft with more of you in the pack. So if you lose one, it's slightly harder work for everybody else. In fact, actually, sorry, they've lost 2 because there's 2 off the back. Furman coming through. So hopefully Sanderson can get on Furman's wheel and they can work together and pull themselves back on. These guys will be talking to each other over Discord or WhatsApp or whatever. But here we have tight little bunch. Not that line, as I say, but I don't think it matters. If you look in the top left-hand corner of the OTR blue team's screen, you can see how much savings they're doing in watts. So they're saving about 80-90 watts based on being in a bunch. Obviously not the guy in the front, but riding well. And this is 36 kph. They're on the flat. We are OTR blue going up to about 40. You'll have to make decisions about how fast you're going to race, and perhaps we'll keep an eye on how fast they're going. As you can see here, OTR black 40, so this seems to be about right for this course. They've only climbed 5 meters so far. There's about 90 odd meters of climbing. My guess is that that is when it swings inland. So this, although the scenery is stock scenery, of course, because this is all created on magic roads. Remember, we're going from Worthing to Brighton, which is along the coast. So it would be dead flat if you stayed right by the seaside there. And incidentally, if you are down that way, it is a fantastic ride along the seafront. Brighton Council have done a brilliant job of creating a cycle path down there, and it is a nice ride. So, but anyway, it cuts inland, and my guess is you're going to see the climb when we do a left turn and cut inland, as I think we go through Shoreham. So as you can see, everybody nicely. Oh, Team Lou, that is a little bit split up. I'm looking at Team Lou there at the bottom. OTR Black neatly together here. This is fine. I mean, those gaps a little bit ragged, but no, look at that line. It's hard to hold that line for long. That's my experience. The fact that they're doing that well shows that they're far more experienced than I am at it, and probably communicate with each other very, very well. But you know, that is only 4 riders, so they have dropped some. They've made that decision. As we see, Team 3R dropping one off the back. Now he's back on. The Team 3R, 6 riders all together there, whereas we're only looking at 4 in OTR Blue. And we're looking at Lou Rick's team there. There's 4 that you can see on your screen. There might be a couple. Yeah, no, there's a couple. Look at the distances. So Lou Rick's team down to 4 riders. They've expended a couple. As I say, basically, so let's look at OTR Green. Oh, well, that's impressive. Look at that. 6 riders, just 3 meters between them. That is fantastic. Bunched in, as I say, it's not what you see at professional level when they're in a line, but I think this works. My opinion is that if you can get in a bunch like that, that works. And I think it is easy to hold your position in those bunches. Now, when teams drop a rider, of course, this might be by design, and sometimes I was talking earlier that you might put a rider on the front when it's flat, and sometimes if you've only got 4 riders, why would you not ask a couple of riders along? Because even if they stay with you for 2 or 3 kilometers, oh, by the way, we've got the 5 kilometer split in the bottom right hand corner. Sorry, I'm waffling away about it. So at the 5 kilometer split, it's 6.59 for OTR Black. They're a full 10 seconds ahead of 3R, OTR Blue, Lou Rick's team, and OTR Green. OTR Green are now off the pace. The other 3 are very, very close at 5 kilometers. So this is very, very tight with OTR Black. I'd say slightly dominant, but 10 seconds is quite significant. And OTR Black are holding their team together, whereas other teams have whittled their numbers down slightly and are down to fewer riders. Like I say though, if you have got this position where you are down to, so this is OTR Green, and we can see there that they've dropped Furman, so they're down to 5 riders. As I say, it's not a bad thing necessarily that you dropped a rider. It might be that I know when I was riding in a team, sometimes only 4 of you are available, and so you ask somebody else to join in, and that person, Sanderson there, is dropped as well. Now something's wrong with the distances there. That is a bit ragged. Oh, I see, we're getting the distances from Furman, but I think Sanderson is being dropped as well there. Sorry, that's me misreading it. So they're probably down to 4 riders in OTR Green now, unless the others can get back on. You might say this is ragged, but they'll be talking to each other. They know how they feel. If somebody says, I can't do any more, don't wait for me, go on. That's what you do. And like I was trying to say earlier, sometimes if you've only got 4 riders available, it's worth taking a couple of people from your club or whatever, or friends on board, because even in the first 2K, if they can do something on the front, they save you some energy that you get back later. Now we're 6.6 kilometers into this. We've only climbed 10 meters out of the 90, so I still think we've got that swinging land where I think the climb is going to come. OTR Green, they're down to 3 riders at the front there. OTR Black down to 4. I've no idea how these teams talk to each other in terms of tactics. I would generally, from my own experience, expect splits to occur around the halfway mark, and particularly not as early as this, given that the course is quite flat. But we see speeds there, 37. Yeah, speeds around 40k seems to be the norm on this. No, some of these are much faster, but expect to do 40k. So we've got 41 for Team 3R now at the top of your screen, and they are. This is fantastic, holding the team together. But you have to ask yourself, there are a couple of guys in there that could go faster that are being slowed up by the rest of the team. But remember, there's no point having two off the front because two off the front doesn't count. It's the first three that count. So your fastest rider is probably better off riding as fast as the third rider and giving the third rider a hand. These are all the sort of things that get complicated while you're riding. So 42 kph there for OTR Green, but they are down to three riders off the front. They can't afford to drop one, although the gap's what, 44 metres. But those three riders, I think, now have got to commit, and if one of those drops, you have a problem. If one of those drops out, they are going to be riding solo, and the time for the team will be that third rider. This is hard, although I say that, it looks like the other three might just be catching them up, and there might have been, yes, they are catching them up. So there might have been a team radio thing there that we can't split into three. It's better that the front group slows down and we get the draft effect. As I say, who knows what their tactics are? I'm not privy to Discord. 38, 39 kph for OTR Blue. So I would imagine that some of these riders can ride faster than this. They've got four riders, so it's quite impressive for OTR Blue. I'm sure that these riders, some of the the best rider in each team can ride faster than this. We're up to 9 kilometres, so the next kilometre we're going to get another time split, so keep your eyes open for that. And we're getting ready for this. This is the 5 kilometre split. Now, if you remember, OTR Black were 10 seconds ahead from 3R, who were almost neck and neck with OTR Blue and Lurix's race team. OTR Green struggling a little bit off the bat. Having said that, OTR Green are holding their team together. Maybe that's what's holding them back a little bit. That perhaps it probably would be better to drop a rider and let the other guys go on fast. OTR Black here, the dominant team, 36.5. We are on a 2% gradient here, so this is I suspect that climbing inland from Shoreham. It is. We can see they've gone up 16 metres since we last looked. It was on 12 metres climbing. This is in the top right hand corner of your screen. You can see that up to 29 metres. Very shallow gradient though. Look, it's 0.6. You can see in the if you see the green blob in the top right hand corner. So it's not. It's not. Now this is the halfway stage. So the yellow banner is the halfway stage. Now all the teams should be roughly going through this. Well, there will be time gaps, so they won't go through it simultaneously, of course, but that gives us the halfway stage. And here we are. You can see OTR Blue going through it now, Team 3R coming up to it now. Lou's team have just gone through, and I suspect Green are just coming up to it, so Black would have gone through first. We'll get the time splits in a moment, because if we're at the halfway stage of a 20 kilometre time trial, we've done 10k. So let's have a look at the time splits when they're available and ready. Looking forward to that. It's exciting, isn't it? So I wonder what the guys are talking about on their radios. It's this is one of the joys of this, that when you're actually riding it, you've got people saying, like, I need to go a bit faster, and other people going, no, you need to slow down. Or, I mean, you look at OTR Green here. Keith's just gone off the front, and what are the rest of the team doing? Are they screaming for him to slow down so they can regroup, or is he screaming for them to catch up so they can actually put a better pace on? Who knows? Now they're clearly behind because they're only going through the halfway banner now. So I think OTR Green are substantially behind the other four teams. Remember, in MRETT, this is Mike Lister's tournament, there are more than 5 teams. We've just taken these 5 teams. Here we go. We've got the time splits. So there's only 5 of the teams. Right. Well, starting at the bottom, OTR Green are now nearly a minute behind 3R, and OTR Black are now 15 seconds ahead of the other 3. But look how close the other 3. Lyrix's race team, James Ogilvy's blue team, and although I think James is in the black team today, but OTR, named after James, of course, and 3R, just 5 seconds. And now this can all change. We've still got 10k to go. It's absolutely exhilarating. It'd be even more exciting if we were privy to their conversations, but of course, that's private, and we can only guess what the tactics are. So Lou's team are down to 3 by the looks of things. On the screen there, we can only see 3 riders. 3R holding it together. Looks like they've got 5 riders together. Green, really impressive because they're keeping the group together. But I think they might be suffering from riding as slow as the slowest rider. Now, this is a big dilemma. If you're racing one of these, what do? Hold the team together, or do you say at some point, let's break it up? So you look at Lou's team, just the 3 of them now, 176 back to Canoe, and I see over a kilometre back to Doyle. I wonder, Doyle's still riding. You can see 3.1 watts per kilogram. So Doyle's still riding. I mean, I know certainly as a weaker rider, when I've dropped off, I've still done the course for the pleasure of it and joined in the conversation. And this is the joy of this. You're part of a team conversation. This is very, very social. I say that, it does assume that you can breathe and speak and ride at the same time. But this is community racing at its best, and certainly with your friends, club mates, or whatever, however you put your team together. So still with Team Lou's race team, and the 3 of them piling on 38, 39 kph. Which, as I say, is pretty decent. I'm sure, as I say, most teams are riding to the pace of the slowest rider. And here we are with 3R, who still got 6 riders together, but are holding in that competitively. So if they are riding the slowest rider, are they about to shed one? Or are they going to hold this all the way? This is such a dilemma, because if you shed a slower rider to go faster, you lose some of the draft, because the bigger the bunch, the better the draft. And you see OTR Green, the positioning is fantastic, but they're behind. And I can't tell you whether that's because of their tactics, because of who's in the team. I really don't know. They'll know, and they're probably going to discuss it afterwards and have a lot of, I suppose you're going to find, entertaining is the word I'm looking for. They'll probably find it entertaining talking about this after the race. I know we have when I've been part of the team. So OTR Blue. Now this looks like a split, but this isn't really what you want, because you don't want 2 off the front, because the 3rd guy is the only guy that's going to. He's the guy that's going to dictate the time. So the front 2, Peter Austin on the front there from Leatherhead, they need to slow down here and let the 3rd guy get on, or the 3rd guy, if he's got it in him, needs to bust a gut to get on the back. Now, if you bust a gut to get on the back, you're not really going to take a turn on the front anytime soon. As we go to OTR Black, who are storming away, remember they were 15 seconds ahead. Now they're going up a 4.6% gradient here. Look at the, if you look at the top right-hand corner of their screen, you'll see we're now up to 52 metres. So this is another rise. I'm not sure quite where on the map that will be. I mean, there are some lumpy bits not far from the sea if you go down to Brighton, Hove and Shoreham and those areas. I'm not familiar enough to tell you where they are. Let's have a look at those splits again. This is a 10-kilometre split, remember, and there was 17 seconds between OTR Black and Lou's team. So they are substantially ahead with over half the race gone now. There are 3 in the middle, neck and neck. This is the exciting bit. And OTR Green, despite the wonderful formation, and it is an impressive formation, just maybe they could split that up a bit and do another pace. I don't know. This is not an observation, it's not a criticism. It really is up to them. They know what their limits are. They know how they get their best results. They've done this time and time again. OTR are a great RGT club. You know, one of the best. You can't say they don't know what they're doing. And remember, they've got 3 teams in, and their club mates leading. So, as I say, full credit to OTR. But it ain't over till the fat lady sings. OTR Black here, the guys on the front, and so there's 4 of them now in that. So I say Hopkinson's right off the back. I mean that's a big gap. So Hopkinson's dropped, and he's probably doing what I do, which is just cycling alone, Billy no mates to the finish, because you want to be part of the banter, and this is riding with mates really. I mean, albeit over Discord or whatever, and you might be hundreds of miles apart, but it's fun, and it's camaraderie, it's teamwork, and it's entertaining, and they are doing a fantastic job. I think you'd have to interview some of these teams afterwards to understand what their feelings were and where the decisions were made. But OTR Blue down to 3 riders, and as I've said, certainly when I've ridden these, we've taken decisions to take a rider out. Now the interesting thing is the numbers are lower in some of these teams, and I wonder if that's the effect of that hill where we went up to 4.5 or 6%, because certainly in one of these time trials, I mean, for example, you haven't got the advantage of the wind, and this is a fairly flat course, only 90 metres of climbing, so we've still got another, I think, 35 metres of climbing still to go. And they are, if you look at all the screens, I think they're all on positive gradients at the moment. That's right, so they're all slightly going uphill, not a lot. Oh, actually, here we are. OTR Black team are on a minus gradient. It's very small, and you see the speed's gone up, not surprisingly, as you go downhill. 1.6, 1.9, 2%. Oh, it's gone positive again. So all at that 4.7%, and the speed slowed down for them at the point they hit that gradient. So you can see the effect. And as I say, you've got a makeup of 6 teams, and some guys are absolutely phenomenal on the flat. You know, on a course like this, burn them out on the flat, and then when the climbers can do their bit when you get to the hills. Over to OTR Green. Oh, their formation is brilliant. It's art. It's so commendable. I would have died to have kept a group so cohesive. It's such a shame that they're a little bit off the pace, but I'll say it's worth watching just for the exemplary grouping there. Team Lou down at 3. They're on a plus 5% gradient right here, 16 kilometres in. You can see it does split up a little bit. You don't necessarily keep that, and I don't think it's that worth bothering about. If you get up to a 5% gradient, let the guy who can do the gradients get to the top, make sure that the guy waits, and then regroup at the top. That's always been our philosophy when I've raced in these teams. Now the 4 riders left in 3Rs, looking good. Cook, Miller, Kovacic and Riss are, I mean, the formation's good, and they're getting the watt saving, so it's all good. Another quick reminder in the bottom right hand screen of what the differences are as we come up to the 15 kilometre split. And what have we got? Right, 25 seconds now for OTR Black. They are pulling away and making it count, but oh my gosh, Lou Rix's team, Lou Race, and 3R, just 2 seconds in it. And you know what? OTR Blue, only 10 seconds. This can still change. 5 kilometres left that could change their life. Over a minute now for OTR Green, but they are going to get the prize for being the most artistic team in this, because I think their formation is one to behold. So we look at Lou's team here. Something's wrong here, because Golding's gone off the back. There's a 40-metre gap back to Golding. I think they need to correct this. I really do, because there's no point Coss and Stratford piling on, because it's going to be the third man's time that counts. Positive gradient here for OTR Green as they go up at 36 kph. You can see this, they were doing faster than that, so you can see the effect of the gradient is slowing it down. As I say, in my experience, and OTR Green may have a very different view on this, I think it's not too bad, I think, to split on the hills as long as you regroup at the top. OTR blue here, 36 on a 1.5% gradient, and 17.15 kilometres gone. Only 3 kilometres to go, so there isn't a lot left. And if you are going to drop a rider and you can get 3 together that can be cohesive and work together, then you do it. OTR black momentarily split there, but they do need to pile on. Right, they've got the 4 back together, and you can see that the 2 who came from behind overshot a little bit, and this is the hard bit to manage, because you come through with such gusto that you kind of overshoot the front a little bit. Team 3R, great formation here, and just the 4 riders in the group, which is ideal. You've got a man to spare. They're on a bit of a gradient at 1.2% and only 36 kph. I think they might need a little bit more than that if they're going to challenge and catch up. Remember, they were a little bit behind on 15k time split, as we're about to be reminded in the bottom right hand corner. As you can see, well, it's only 2 seconds, but I think that might have been slow up that climb. We shall see. We shall see how this plays out. Lou's team 2 seconds ahead of 3R. This is the exciting one. We haven't got long to go, and remember, at these speeds it certainly won't be very long. This is RGT. It is so realistic. It's fantastic. Remember that they do this as a team on their own, and they ride it as if a road race, so they all set off together. But if you want an individual time trial on RGT, remember that you can do that, and the riders will go off at intervals. I run the West London VR series, and I usually put 1 time trial in there, an individual time trial, and I usually pick 5-second intervals. And because there's no drafting, it doesn't really matter if you catch an ex-rider, because the draft's all switched off in this. But in this, the team time trial, you will have the effect of the draft, because that's the whole point of a team time trial. As we look at OTR black, piling it on, look at that. 48 kph. All right, they're going slightly downhill at 0.7%, but this is a speed where they are racing for the line. And given that they were already substantially ahead, if they can keep these sorts of speed up, I think OTR black are looking good. 400 meters to go, and the front 3 have dropped the 4th man. This is probably deliberate, because you just go for it, right? As you get over the line, they've got 290. Well, yeah, 290 meters to go. This is close. 170, 166. We can't quite see the finishing line here, can we? 120 meters to go. This is... Oh, there's the finishing line. It's just around a bend. It was hidden. It must swerve off just before Brighton Pier. So they get over. So that's OTR black. They've done that in 28.4. Well, I think 28.44. The collated results are all going to come up at the end. So don't go away. We are going to bring you all the results. The team's still finishing. So I think we can assume that OTR black are the winners here. And who's going to hit that line next? Now, the trouble for me is, because that line's hidden around a bend, I can't see how close they are other than reading the meters at the top. And I think it's Team 3R that are going to come in second. I might be wrong. Yep, 3R's a second. Team Lou's, right, well, they've got a rider over the line, but that was a solo rider. And remember, it's the 3rd one that counts. As we see OTR green in the bottom right-hand corner, still with substantial distance to go. OTR blue, still with substantial difference to go. I don't think Lou's team have got 3 over the line. I might be wrong. No, they haven't. And there's somebody still to come in. You know, it's great to go off on your own, but as we see OTR blue come through the finishing line there, and they come through in a pack, so it's probably quite a reasonable result for them. So I'm waiting. There's another Lou rider just come in. OTR green, who I think we can assume are going to be the last ones to finish, but still in that beautiful formation. As I say, the most artistic team of this presentation. Look at that, they've even got it in a line. I'm so jealous. You might be. And remember, they're not necessarily last in the competition, because we've only picked 5 out of the MRETT teams from that competition run by Mike Lister. There are other teams in it. This is just put together with 5 teams, 5 very good teams. So OTR green may well be higher in the rankings in real life than this video. Coming fifth out of the best 5, of course, might actually be quite reasonable. As they come through in formation, OTR Green clearly tactically hold it all together and ride as a team, which is great. I think this is how you build relationships, camaraderie, and team spirit. So congratulations to everybody, and here's the results. Oh, this is tantalising. They're giving us a splits first. We know those. What's the finish? 28.4 OTR Black in first place. And, oh, look at that. Not a lot between 3R and Lou. Oh, actually, the 3R Lou Race and OTR Blue, there really isn't a lot in there. 35 seconds. I think 3R did very, very well. I mean, there's a clear gap between them and the other two. And even if you look at it, I mean, it's down to less than a minute for OTR Green. So that riding in a pack might have just paid off towards the end when other teams were suffering with smaller numbers. Well, that's RGT Team Time Trials. It's fantastic. Get into it. It is brilliant because you're talking to your teammates. It's tactics. Sometimes, like me, you're panting when you're talking to your teammates. But just be part of it. It's so fantastic. It's just one of those great things that RGT does. You enter it like a road race. You can draft. And even if you're sort of mid-pack and you're not strong enough to go on the front, you help your team by creating some more drafts. So absolutely fantastic. Thanks very much for looking in on this. Go away and sign up for one of these. Best thing you'll do. Well, maybe. But it was certainly a good choice and a good decision. You're with ZMS for RGT, showcasing Team Time Trials on RGT. Bye.